Hi guys, today's video is about this. People have often asked me what that unit is that I have in some of my videos. Well, I would call it an audio video production center, or producer if you like, because I use it to do live gigs, but also use it to produce these videos that you're watching now, and many other things, mixing and plays, all sorts of things really. So I thought I would explain what it's all about and how it came about. To start the story off, really, back in the late 80s, 90s, early 90s, I ran a mobile disco and I used to use vinyl. I used 2 decks, and I'd been doing it for quite a few years. I've got a lot of work, and I decided that I wanted a bit of a break from it. So I had about sort of a year, 18 months break, and then people kept coming up to me and saying, "Oh, come on Baz, you know, can you do us a gig here, can you do us a gig there?" Well, by this time, as I say, 18 months, 2 years had gone past, and when I started getting back to it, vinyl was just starting to leave and CDs were just coming in. So I thought, okay, so what do I do? Where do I go from here? You know, do I carry on trying to buy the vinyl, or do I start to use CD players? So I had a couple of early portable CD players. To me, CD players weren't that reliable at the time. They could hop, skip and jump, no matter how well you looked after the CDs. So I was a little bit worried about going over to CD. Then a friend of mine, who is another DJ, well, not now, he's retired, but used to be a DJ, he said to me, "I've heard about this new bit of software in America, which is just like a set of DJ decks, but it's on a PC." Now, I just started to get into computers. I hadn't really looked into that much, and I had Windows 95 at the time. And anybody knows who's used Windows 95, they know it's very glitchy. It was better than Windows 3.1, but it was still very glitchy, and you were lucky if the thing ran more than a day at a time. So I said, "Well, what do you mean? You know, tell me a bit more about this software." So I said, "Well, apparently you can save music files save music as a file, and you can carry loads on one single hard drive." So I thought, that sounds a good idea, because I'd often carried, you know, 2,500 singles, I know, 500 LPs, 200 12-inch singles, you know, and it didn't do my back a lot of good, I'll be honest with you, trying to climb up 5 flights of stairs with that lot. So I thought, yeah, it could have something here. So anyway, I looked on the internet, and sure enough, there was a piece of software called PC DJ. And this is a picture of it here. And I thought, this might be worth a look at. So at the time, it was only in America, it wasn't over here in England. So I ordered it from the States. And it came over, it cost me about $48. I can't remember how much that is in pounds at the time, but it was enough. It was enough money. So anyway, I installed this operating system, put this DJ system onto my operating system. To be fair, it did struggle somewhat because the RAM in those days was very low. So I upped the RAM and I built a unit, which here is a picture of, and built it into a sort of a disco system, because laptops weren't really about then. So this is really how this all came about. Wow, getting windy around here, folks. Just one moment. Okay, well, now I've finished being clobbered by the wife's washing. That was a bit of unexpected action there. Yeah, so I decided to experiment with it, and it took me quite a while before it was reliable, and a couple of times the computer would freeze up and all sorts, and it took me quite a long time to get a database together. I suppose in the end I ended up spending about 6 months getting it to run stable and where I could actually use it on a gig. I'd used it on a couple of private little gigs, and it would, a couple of times it had frozen, but the music would still carry on playing. So there's a couple of like frightening moments there, you know, when you thought it was going to die on you. So it took a little bit of getting used to, but finally I got it running smoothly, and just as I got it running smoothly, someone stole it, broke into my house, stole the unit, stole our TV, stole everything basically. Anything electrical that wasn't bolted down, they stole it. So I then had to start all over again. So I thought, right, okay, so my youngest son and I, my second youngest son and I, we decided we were going to build this unit together. So we built it together, and it's a little bit like saying you've had the same broom for 20 years, but you've changed the handle 10 times and put 4 new heads on it, but it's still the same unit. Well, this is a little bit like that. This has had 4 computers in it, 4 or 5 different mixers, but I can actually say that it is the same case which I made all those years ago. I've just had to cut it and alter it to fit all the new equipment in. But now I've got it to a place where it's lovely, it works really well, and the specs of the machine are quite high now. I'll show you them on the screen now. And it runs very fast, and I don't have any of those hang-ups. In fact, I run karaoke off it now and everything, for the use of this software called Virtual DJ, which is absolutely the best bit of DJ software anywhere. There are other bits of software, I can't get on with them. Virtual DJ is just brilliant. I mean, I use a controller with it, but you can also use a keyboard with it as well to use for all the other shortcuts, and it works absolutely amazing. So I'll now show you around it, and I don't doubt a lot of people out there are going to ask me, why the hell are you lifting this bloody great thing around when you could be just using a laptop? Well, I'll tell you the reason why. The reason being is, with a laptop, I'd have to plug in all the auxiliary bits. Like I'd have to plug in the mixer, I'd have to plug in this, I'd have to plug in that. Now, when I get to a gig, I can just set it up, plug the speakers in, plug the main power amplifier in, and away I go. I've got music up and running within less than 10 minutes or less. The rest of the time is setting up the lighting. That takes longer than setting up the sound system. And apart from that, I do use it for a lot of things. I use it for editing videos like this. I use it for plugging in auxiliaries. I use it for running extra microphones, which you can't do on a laptop without plugging in extra sockets and stuff. So it does the job that I wanted to do. So here's a bit of a looky around it, and I will explain things as they come up on the screen. And first thing you'll see is the keyboard, which in Virtual DJ you can sort out all the shortcuts. You can select decks, you can make playlists, you can select which playlist works, you can do everything you can do with the controller basically, and I like to use it as well as the controller because it does other things apart from what the controller can do. This is a picture of the controller itself, as you can see. I can run up to 4 decks, in fact I can run up to 6 decks, but 4 decks is enough, and I can switch between all 4 of those decks quite easily just with a press of a button. And the controller works with all 4 depending on which one you switch it to at the time. I now have an extremely large database of over 60,000 tracks. You could never ever carry that if you were carrying vinyl. Okay, the sort of gigs I do are family gigs, where it's weddings, you know, birthday parties, anniversaries, that sort of thing. My son, he does DJing as well, but he uses vinyl. But his is a more specialised thing. He'll do music sets, where he'll do a 40-minute set, and he practices with that vinyl for a whole week before he'll do a gig. So they're different types of DJing, and this does exactly the job what it says on the tin. You know, it does everything that I want it to do. So I just thought you might be interested to have a look at it. And as I say, the reason why I won't go to a laptop is partly because they're a little bit more fragile. They won't put up with the banging around that this thing has. I mean, this has been in the backs of vans, backs of cars, and it's been bounced about all over the place. And whenever I get to a gig, it works every time, no problem at all. Touch wood. I only ever had it go down on me once, and that was because somebody happened to turn the mains plug off, and it just shut everything down. And as you can imagine, it didn't take long for it to boot up, but the first thing that Windows wanted to do was, something's gone very wrong, I need to fix Windows. No you don't, I'm in the middle of a gig. Press bypass and it all booted back up again and everything was fine. So I use Windows 7 now, and it's very reliable. In fact, I would say it was the best out of all of them. I've tried Windows 10, I can't get on with it. Windows 10 tries to take over everything. Windows 7 does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's ultra reliable. The computer's very fast. I can do very fast editing on it. I have no problems with it whatsoever. So I just thought you might want to look around it. You've seen it in various videos, and as I say, first of all I showed the keyboard, and it's the controller. This is a shot of it full on. Yes, I know it does look quite deep, but you can actually carry it on your own. Not that I'd necessarily recommend it. I usually have someone else help me, because it's just easier if 2 of you are carrying it. The computer is in the back half, and here's some shots of the front of the computer and some shots of the back of the computer with all the cables where they're running in. And as I say, it makes it very versatile. I can plug things on the front, and shows all the sockets there. I can plug in extra microphones. I use radio microphones and such like, so I can plug in these. I can plug in iPads, because sometimes I do gigs where people say, have you got a particular tune, or they say, I've done a playlist, do you think you could play some tunes off of my iPad? And I say, yeah, no worries. I can just plug it straight in. I can even mix it in and blend it in with all the other tunes that I'm doing. So it makes it very versatile. So I'm happy with it. As I say, people have got their own ideas on what sort of system they would like. This is my idea of the system. It's been very versatile and it works very well. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little look around my system, and hopefully see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.